Hello and welcome back. Welcome to my new subscribers. I'm so glad to have you here with me on my journey. First, let me say I'm sorry I didn't get a video up last week. Not this past weekend, but the one before. I went to my granddaughter's gymnastics meet, and then it was my long week to work, so I was really tired. But I am getting used to it, so it's better. Anyway, yeah, so I need to take a little break from the farmhouse because I ran out of molding, which I've now got again, and I tell you what, those angles in that dining room are kicking my butt. So today, this video is going to be something a little bit different. Today, we are going to make a miniature modern bed for the farmhouse master bedroom. Now, I used 110-pound craft cardstock, and I got 100 pieces of it at Hobby Lobby for $10.99. So I thought that was a pretty good buy. It's every bit as tough as cardboard when you sandwich it together, and I really like using it. It's cheap, and it's a good way to make things. So anyway, I'm not sure what I'm saying here. I don't like voiceovers. I can't remember what I said. Probably wasn't that important anyway. So yeah, you can just watch me waving my hand there. Hi. So anyway, we're going to make the full size, a 1/12 scale version of this little bed I made. Now this bed has a padded headboard, padded side rails, and a padded footboard. And it turned out so cute, I thought, yeah, gotta do one for the farmhouse because it's set in modern times now. So anyway, I've got everything cut out. I've written the measurements on it, and I will show you those. And one of these pieces is a piece of actual lightweight cardboard off the back of a notebook, but this cardstock is so thick, honestly, I can't tell what's what. So, as I said, I will put the measurements up. I will show them to you. And this is going to be a two-part video. And in the description box of the next part, I will put all the measurements in case you want to try this for yourself. So, this is the headboard piece. And I have cut 4 pieces of it. Here comes the measurements. You can always pause the video. And we're going to be taking one piece out of that because that's going to go on the back and it's going to be covered with material. So we're going to take that one piece out. Now this is what the mattress is going to sit on. I only cut 3 of these, and I think that'll be plenty. There's the measurements. I hope you can see them. Once again, they will be included at the end of part 2. Now these are the side rails, and I cut 8 of these out. That'll be 4 pieces sandwiched together for each side. And there's your measurements on that. Excuse my writing. And this is the end or the footboard of the bed. And that right there I'm showing you is a piece of the cardboard in my left hand and a piece of the cardstock in my right hand. And I try to hold it up and the thickness is almost the same. So I like using this heavy cardstock for that. And there's your measurements. So there are 4 pieces of that. And then I'm using 1/4-inch wooden dowels. I bought a long one and cut it up into 4-inch pieces because that's the size I'm going to need. I wish I'd bought more dowels, but I only bought the one. And now I'm just showing you, if you don't have dowels, you can take a drinking straw. And what I would do with this is I would stuff something into the straw to make it more stable and firm if I were going to use it. But yeah, you can definitely don't have to use wood. This is just one of those flimsy bendy straws. So anyway, I am taking the one piece for the footboard, and I'm going to put that aside also because it's going to be covered and then it's going to be glued on to the footboard part of the bed. Like the back is to, like the piece I held up for the back of the headboard, this is going to be the front of the footboard. At least that's how it's supposed to work out. I think I made a mistake here somewhere, but I'm not quite sure. So there, I took that one out, and I have 3 of those left. 3 of those left. And now I'm pointing out that I have a dotted line, or whatever you want to call it, up there. That is so I can find the exact middle of the headboard, and I'll explain that when we get there. And now, as you can see, everything's rolling away. I'm using Gorilla Wood Glue. You can use whatever type of glue you like. I would not recommend using hot glue on this project. You can, but I wouldn't do it. And you'll see why later too. I bought these little bottles with the tiny tip, and I forgot to put the other lid on it, and so now my little tiny tip is stuck shut. And so I'm going to start putting the glue on, and I'm just using a makeup spatula that I got at Dollar Tree. I saw someone else here on YouTube use one, and it looked so handy for spreading the glue out that I just had to go get one. And the Dollar Trees around here didn't have it for the longest time, and I finally found one, and I bought it right away. But as you can see, it really does spread the glue out really nice. It does a good job, and it's just silicone, so if the glue dries on it, it'll peel right off when you're done. So now I'm just putting another layer on there, and I guess I should have used wax paper instead of parchment because everything's wanting to stick to the parchment paper and with the glue. I'm just trying to get it squared up here so that it's nice and even on the sides, and I'm just pressing it down with my hand. Now I have a brayer. I have 2, and in a minute I'll think, hey, wait, there we go, see, yeah, I've got a brayer. I can use that to apply some pressure to it and get it stuck good. This is just a cheap brayer. I've got a good one, but it's currently MIA in this mess. It's my craft room. So when I find that, I'll probably start using it. I should have just dumped this glue into something bigger because I keep having to go back and put more glue down on my little piece of cardstock. Yep, there, see, I'm peeling it off again. Use wax paper next time. And please don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch me glue the whole bed together. Okay, yeah. No, I wouldn't want to watch that. Everybody knows how to glue. See, there I am dumping more glue. Someday I'll learn. I'm pretty sure it's the last thing you're going to have to watch me glue, and then I'll do it off camera and come back when I have all the pieces glued together. I'm sorry this video got a little long. It was originally an hour and something, but I was able to cut it down to where it's at. Again, just making sure everything is as even as I can get it. There it is, all glued together, see? Okay, so I've got everything all glued together now, and I'm just showing you that, like, to stuff the straw, if that's what you were going to use, I've got an old paper towel here, and what I do is I just pull off a little bit, Then I kind of roll it up so it's about the size of the inside of my straw. Like that. And then I stick it into the straw. And I use something like, I'm using the handle of a paintbrush just to push it in. And that makes the straw nice and firm. So originally I was going to show you that you could use a straw as well as the dowels. So I'm clipping the end off. It's a little long. And then I'm going to center my straw over that center line. I like to start in the center and work my way out to the sides. And I like to use an uneven number of dowels. I just think that looks better. Just my personal preference. Oh, here I had one piece I'd cut just a little too big. So I'm just taking that little bit off of there and evening it all out. It wasn't much, but it was enough that I think it would have made a difference. So now it's all even. And I don't know why I'm pointing out that ½ inch I left at the bottom, I guess because that's going to be, basically the headboard and the footboard are going to be what's holding the bed up. We're not going to put any legs on this. So now I'm just getting the straw and I'm placing it over the middle of the thing. And I'm just going to run some glue right down that broken line I made on there, which is the center. And then I'm just going to try to center the straw over that line. And I want to make sure the top of my straw is even with the top of the bed. And I want it as straight as possible. If it's a little short on the bottom down, it's not going to matter. It'll never be seen. So I'm just sticking a bamboo skewer beside it because when I did the little bed, I spaced it with bamboo skewers, which worked kind of. This is a fiddly project, and you will see why. I am now running glue down one side of my wood dowel, and I'm going to place it there next to the straw. And what I will do is I will work all the way out one way, and then I will go do the other side. Now the problem is my dowel keeps wanting to roll away and doesn't want to stay on the where the side that it's glued on wants to flip over so that it's not where there's any glue. And so I'm just kind of fitting that skewer in between, see if I have enough room there. And this is going to cause my dowel to get out of line again. So eventually I give up on trying to put the skewer in there to space them, and I just eyeball it. And I'm not going to make you watch me do all this either. I don't think. It's crazy. I made this video and now watching it back, I can't remember what I did. So yeah, I'm just trying to get it there. Looking at it, it's looking pretty even, looking pretty right. So we're going to go ahead and just keep going with this. Pays to take your time. And you know me, I'm not a patient person. It's a lot of fiddly straightening with this, but it looks so cool when it's done. I always turn my works because that way I can see, you know, from like 2 different angles on it, and just really kind of helps me to make sure I'm keeping everything straight. Anyway, I have everything on there, and now it is time to put the padding on. This is a padded headboard. I got the idea off Wayfair of a bed I saw there, and so what I'm using is either a cotton or a wool blend quilt batting, and I've cut it so that it's bigger than the headboard, both in width and length, and there's a reason for that. So, you know, it's not too thick, it's not too thin, but it's not like working with fiberfill where it's just, you know, really springy and that, because that's not really what we're going for. You could use felt, you could use, you know, something like very thin sponge would work, or foam. Yeah, just anything. Polar fleece. I think I use polar fleece on the little bed. So what I'm going to do now is this bed, I have a little piece of the cardstock, a little edge showing. The small bed I didn't. This one just happened to work out this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm putting a line of glue, and I'm putting a good line of glue. I mean, I'm using quite a bit along that side, and then I'm going to run it up on top of the dowel, the first one, and I'm going to run it a line that's going to go down in between that first dowel and the second one. Now I've got my glue on. I'm going to take my piece, and I'm going to make sure that I put it on so that I have enough at the top, because that's going to fold over the top, as you'll see in a while. So I'm taking my time, and I'm really pressing this quilt batting onto that little tiny strip of cardboard. I want to make sure I have a good fit there, and I'm leaving a little bit hang off over the edge past the cardboard. And now I'm getting my trusty bamboo skewer, and I'm just pushing that up against there, and I'm just kind of going back and a back and forth motion with it, just to make sure that I get that quilt batting on there really, really good. And now I'm taking the skewer, and I'm just pressing down in between that first dowel that I put glue on top of, and down into that channel where I put glue between the first and second dowel. And I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on. Make sure your dowels are dry first if you're going to do this. So I'm just holding it there for a little bit. I want the glue to really grab that quilt batting. I don't want it coming loose when I move on. Okay, so yeah, I'm just doing it again, and you'll see me do it over and over again. You'll probably never get your batting or whatever you use all the way down to the cardstock below, but you want a good indent. So now I'm going to carefully pull that back, and I'm just going to repeat the process. I'm going to put glue on top of the dowel, and then on the crevice down in between the two dowels. And again, the bamboo skewer, and I'm going to press that down. And I'm going to press pretty firmly. And as you can see, I'm running my thumb in that groove. Later on, I get smart and get another dowel, and then I press the two at once. Because if you press down too quick, you can pull up the quilt batting that you've already put down. You can pop it right back up out of that first crease, and you don't want to do that. So there I am, just kind of going over it again with my thumbnail. Just pushing down on that one so that it gets formed nicely, and then I'm just going to repeat the process. And I don't remember if I left the whole process in here for this part, or if I stopped and did it off camera and then came back. So we'll see in a minute here what I did. Like I said, it's just repeating the same process over and over. It's a fiddly project, but it looks so neat when they're done. Sorry, I've got a cold. My voice is worse than usual. My nose is stuffed. Our weather has been everywhere from 70 to a couple nights got down in the single digits. It's crazy. I saw a robin today, and that usually means snowstorms. And we've had a very mild winter here this year. Very little snow. So I'm sure we'll get it. Now you can see I'm putting skewers in all of the grooves I've already made, and I'm pushing those all down. And I'm pushing pretty hard. This is just to ensure that my grooves stay where I want them. And there, I'm just showing you. See, you can see that it's actually, you know, taking the shape of the dowels in the grooves. And it's just more of the same here. I really hope I didn't make you watch me do all of this. If so, I'm sorry. If I'd known this, I would have sped it up. Oops. So it looks like we're almost to the end of this segment. I'm getting tired of watching myself, so I apologize to you. I really thought I'd taken this out, or I had fast forwarded it, and I'm not going to edit this video again, so I'm sorry. You know, you can always skip forward, so that you don't have to sit here and watch all of this. Okay, so finally we've moved on past that, and what I've done is I have the headboard piece there, And right now I'm showing you, I really wanted a dark blue, really dark, but this, I don't know if you can see it, it's got gold sparkles in it, and I just didn't think that was going to do the trick. Just thought it would be too much with the wallpaper I used. So I chose this neutral colored loosely woven fabric, which I really like. Looks like a lot of the headboards and stuff you see out there. This frays so bad. And I'm just, you can see I'm trimming some more of the little frayed edge, see, and it's very thick, so you know it's loosely woven. And what I did was I just put some glue around the edges and then just kind of patted it in with my fingers like that to try to stop some of it. So here's the top of our bed now, and I guess I lost the part where I show you what to do with the batting at the top. What I did was you cut it off exactly even with the sides, and then when you take the top and you just fold it over and glue it down. And I like to start gluing in the middle and working my way to the outside. And then at the bottom you do the same thing, you just fold it over and glue it down. So now we're going to put the fabric on, and again I have more fabric than what I need, and that's always a good idea. I'm just picking some of the fibers off of here because that stuff just, oh my gosh. And I'm just showing you that's not going to show down there, and as you can see it's kind of curved, so I'm just kind of trying to straighten it, and you'll see in the end it does come out flat when everything's glued on it. So not to worry if that happens, it will straighten out. So this time I'm showing you, I guess again that I've cut it too big. You want to make sure you have plenty hanging over the sides, the top, and the bottom. And then we're going to just, it's pretty much going to be the same process as when I put the batting down. So I'm starting out on that little edge that I had left, and I'm just going to put some glue on there. And I could have used fabric glue on this, but I was scared it would show through. So again, this part I'm just using tacky glue like I did when I put the batting on. Making sure I get quite a bit on that little edge because it's not a very big edge at all. So I'm taking the fabric and I'm making sure I've left myself plenty at the top and the bottom and plenty on the side, because what we're going to do here is that's going to be folded over like that. So and here comes the skewer again. But I really like those for pressing the fabric next to something like the dowel. They're rounded, they're easy to get in there. And I'm using my thumb also just to make sure I get it poked down around that dowel really, really good. So still doing that. I've left myself plenty to go over the edge. And there I needed a little more glue. And then I get smart and I'm like, hey, I have these little clips from Dollar Tree. They're sitting right there on my tripod. I keep them there. I'm just going to clip this down. And it worked really well. I held that little tiny edge. Okay, so yeah, see, it works. Okay, so now here comes the bamboo skewer, and I had already put glue in that first. This time I did not put glue on top of the dowels because I don't want any glue accidentally coming through the fabric. But I did put it in all the grooves between the dowels. And now I'm just kind of taking the skewer and I'm kind of running it down between there. This material's a little thicker. When I made the little bed, I used a brushed cotton. If you use anything like a cotton or a broadcloth, anything like that, you know, it's going to fit into your grooves better and it's going to be a little deeper. But I chose this. So I'm just making sure it gets down into that first groove between the first two dowels. And the reason I'm doing this one at a time is because the glue doesn't seep down into the grooves, and if I did a bunch at once and I folded it over, my material would be stuck down in several places and it would ruin the project. So that's why I'm doing it one at a time. I'm just pressing that first one, putting the dowel or the skewer into it, and then I'm going to do that with the second one and push down. Again, I'm pushing with very firmly. And again, I'm taking the skewer and I'm just going down through the groove, and I'm pointing out, please don't poke through your fabric with the pointy end. That's why I'm pulling away from the pointy end. I don't know if this really helps, but I think it does, so I do it. So this time I'm holding the skewers on the grooves. There's no real reason for that. They'll stay. And just poking it in with my thumb again. Moving the two skewers over. And what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that I have enough at the top, because we'll have to fold that over the top edge of the dowels and on around to the back. So it's good to check every once in a while, make sure that you have got that extra fabric up there at the top. Hear any background noise? My furnace is on. It's kind of chilly today. We had a little bit of snow this morning, and we have another chilly day, and then it's going to warm up, I guess, again. And again, if you don't want to watch me do this over and over, which I obviously didn't get fast forwarded, I'm still working out the bugs with me in the video editor. It's a lot easier than the other one I was using, but still, it's me. So if you don't want to see, you know, this, just fast forward to the next part. Okay, so now we have our fabric all on like that. It's at least across, and now I'm still removing more fibers. Now I'm going to be gluing those edges down. And when I got to the end on the other side, I did also use the clips on that. Worked really well. So now I'm just going to be applying the tacky glue to the back side. And I put quite a bit on because this part will never show. So if the glue comes through, that's okay. And I'm putting the clips back on to hold this piece over. You don't have to clip it. As I found out later, the glue, this material sticks to the tacky glue pretty well. So there I was just grabbing some more fabric because no, I don't have everything cut out at once, but I didn't think you needed to watch that. So now I have both sides glued down and we're going to do the top. So you can see we've got all our nice little, the dowels are showing, the grooves between them are showing, and now I'm going to do the top. And this is pretty much how I did the quilt batting. So that part I accidentally cut out, so you can see it here. And what I like to do is I like to start in the middle, fold it over and go one way, and then fold the other side over and go the other way. I have enough of the fabric to go over the top of the dowels and on to the back side. Now when I did the little bed, I did not put any padding on top of the dowels. And why I did here, I don't know, because it's harder for the fabric to stick to the batting than it is to stick to the cardstock or the dowels. But it does a pretty good job. I just had to use quite a bit of glue in there. So I'm just pressing it down, making sure, and you will see that when you fold it over, it will still, at the top, retain the shape of the dowels and grooves. So that side's down, and now I'm just going to go glue the other way. You can glue however you like. It's just my method. And I'm going to fold that over. Push it down really good so that make sure that fabric sticks in that batting. And I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue on the back and fold the rest of the fabric over to make a nice finished edge up there. So now I have the corners up there, and you can see the little points they're making. I am doing my preferred method of a corner where I glue them together and then I cut over the end and then just apply some glue to make sure that the fabric's butting up next to itself. But you can turn your corners any way you like. There's no right and no wrong. So I'm just pinching them both together really good, making sure there's plenty of glue up there. Making sure the fabric was coming loose up there at the top. So just gluing that back down. Kind of tucking that fabric down a little better there over the back side. Making sure it's good and stuck down. So that's what it looks like, and as you can see, you can still see the dowels and the grooves where they're at, which is what we want. And now I'm just taking my scissors and just cutting those little, I call them ears, off. Good way to gum up a brand new pair of scissors. Now I'm just applying some glue up there, and I'm just forcing the edges together and down, just making sure that everything is gonna be glued nicely and gonna stay. There's my corner, but you can do yours any way you like. I'm just gonna do the same with that one. Again, just pushing the fabric together in case there's a little gap. And I always put a little more glue on there, gap or not, just to make sure that corner stays. Oh, something loud going by. It's about time for that. Okay, so now here's the bottom, and this part is not going to show, so keep that in mind. I get the glue up, start to glue it down, putting it down there. And it's a little tricky to get underneath of there. Now the bottom is a little trickier than the top because you're going under the dowels, but you also have that piece of cardstock there that's flat. So I spend a little, probably too much time on this one, trying to get it as flat as possible. It's not going to show once the bed is put together, but I still want it as flat as possible for gluing purposes. And this one, because it's going over the dowels and it's not going over the back of the headboard like the top did, you may have some little ripples in it. And you just keep, this is why I'm messing around so much. I'm poking all those little ripples down so that they're as flat and even as possible. Poking them in as close to my dowels as I can get them, snipping off some of the frayed edges. And don't worry if you have a few little wrinkles there from where it kind of rippled at the bottom. As long as they're not, big ones and sticking way up and stuff, they'll be fine. And I do get a bit obsessive about this, but I really want it nice and flat. Kind of crazy for something you're not going to see, huh? Okay, so I'm just showing you that. The top again, the back. That's what it should look like. I've already went ahead and put the batting and the fabric I'm using on the sides and on the one part of the footboard. So those are all done. I did them off camera. I tortured you enough with watching me glue. So I wasn't going to make you watch that too. So now I've cut another piece of fabric, and this is just going to go around the back, and this is never going to show. And then I'm going to be bringing it to the front and folding the bottom part up also. And I'll explain that as I go here. Okay, so I glued one side down and I took it around the back. I did not glue the back down. Now I'm making a small snip here, not quite a quarter of an inch. And what that's going to do for us is when I bring the fabric around to the front, I will be folding. See, there's where the fabric stops at the top of the head, at the bottom of the top of the headboard. If this makes any sense, at the bottom of the headboard, then if I just put this piece of fabric up against it, I would have a raw edge. So that little snip, I turn the fabric over a little bit, just fold it over, and then I glue it down right next to the base of my dowels. And that gives me a very nice join. Looks all finished off. And yeah, we don't have any raw edges. So I just glue that down and put it right next to the bottom of the dowels. And I glue the side down. And that is not glued. That is not going to make any difference. It will be covered. And so now I'm just going to fold that bottom edge up. Pressing it into the glue, and again I'm going to do my style of corners. So yeah. Oh, sorry, my nose is so stuffed up. And my chest is kind of stuffy. And I don't feel like going to work tonight, but the other overnight hasn't shown up. And so, yeah. Well, I'm going to be gone this weekend. I already told him that, so don't text me. Don't call me. I won't be here. So I'm just going to fiddle around a little more with those, cut them off, put my extra glue on there just to make sure they hold. And yeah, so we're probably going to leave it right here for today. There definitely will be a part 2, possibly a part 3. We'll see how long part 2 gets. We will assemble a bed in part 2. And I hope you've all had a great day. I hope you don't think, oh, this is too fiddly, I don't want to try it, because it really is fun. So yeah. Anyway, we're going to leave it right here, and I will see you very soon for part 2. Bye-bye.